Hello and welcome to a different version of Beyond the Headlines. It is a premiere, so I hope you guys are all stoked to have me and Linda back for our Friday edition of Beyond the Headlines. Tonight we will be talking about Vril societies and the German cults. Linda seems to basically have a PhD in this, so I will be letting her lead the way. I'll be bringing up different articles, images, videos, whatever she needs me to do. I will be doing that because I find this extremely interesting. I've kind of glanced over it, and I think you may have your minds blown tonight, guys. Real quick, before we start today's show, would you please go ahead and subscribe to both my channel and Linda's channel? You can find her at McAllister TV. We will drop the links in the description box below. We both have Patreons. Please go to those, guys, because censorship is on the rise. Very dangerous times we live in. We are being day by day. And guys, you can also go and follow us both on Twitter. I am at TRUreporting. Linda, what is your Twitter handle?
I'm at Linda_Paris.
Linda_Paris, guys. So definitely follow both of us on Twitter. It is very important that we have contact with all of you out there. All right, and with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and jump into this topic. I'm very interested in this because I am learning a lot as well. So, Linda, if you want to lead the way, I will bring up articles and throw in my 2 cents every now and again.
Well, hey, Thomas.
Hi.
What's all the buzz?
Right. Well, it seems like we're going to be talking about German cults, which I think a lot of people do know about. I think they know that Hitler and his sidemen, his counterparts, were definitely part of the occult. You could think about their engineering with UFOs, so on and so forth. And I'm sure they were into dark magic. But we're going to get into all this. I want to know about this Vril society and these women with long hair, this witchcraft, as you could put it. Tell us a little bit about that, and I'll show the pictures on the screen for us.
Okay, so first of all, Thomas, I want to thank you for hosting this platform, because this, first of all, I don't know how to live stream, and I'm not set up to live stream. But second of all, we are going through a censorship crisis, and this gives me an opportunity to, if anything happens to my channel, I'll still be able to come here on Friday night and let all my subscribers know, where they can find me, and I can still keep in touch with people at YouTube. So I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And, so what you were reading before was really interesting to me as well. But I'll start out by saying that the thing that fascinates me the most about the Vril society is that it's all women. Now, I think eventually they did let men into it, but the society revolves around the Vril maidens. And here is a really good book. That is Maria Orsic. And she was the very beautiful head of the Vril society. She was a Russian ballerina. And I think she was the daughter of a Russian ballerina.
Where'd you get that?
This book is written by Robert Zephyr. And he knows a lot about he has a YouTube channel, and he knows a lot about all these subject matter. He knows a lot. If you go to his YouTube channel, Robert Zephyr, all of his videos are on fascinating topics, but he's one of the few people who has done some deep diving on this particular subject, and he's found out a lot of information about this, which is not easy to find. So, and I verified all his information.
Nice.
By going through old newspapers. I found newspaper articles about this stuff that's in this book, so it's real. So they, just like they have television now, and they tell us what they're doing, back then they used books, and it's called The Coming Race, and it was written by Lord Lytton.
Yes.
Lord Edward Bulwer Lytton. And this man, he was a lord and a privileged person. He was one of them. The elite.
Yes.
And he was raised in this cult. And he wrote this book, and this book is about a breakaway civilization living underneath the ice in Antarctica, and it's got a lot of particulars in it. It's very detailed, and it describes a civilization, and there's a lot of stuff in there that for some reason, some bizarre reason that I couldn't figure out, Hitler and the Nazi...
It's okay.
Hitler and his men and a lot of his higher ups were embracing this book and actually using it as a guide when they went to Antarctica. This was what motivated them to go to Antarctica, and I could not figure that out. Why are they reading this fiction book that's supposed to be a fiction story,
right,
and spending all this money going to Antarctica?
Right.
So this book talks about this form of energy. If you read the book, it's about this society, and they have a form of energy. It's called Vril energy. And what it is, it's an invisible energy that if anyone can master it and control it, they can control the world. It's a way
Vril
to control
energy. Very interesting. Let me go ahead and bring that up real quick. Okay, so we're now looking at these images, as you can see, with the long hair and the occultism right here in front of this woman. Take us through what this is. Tell us what all about this society, this Vril society.
Well, this Vril society, these women believe that they receive psychic messages through their hair. And that's why they grow their hair all the way down. Many of them have it down to the floor. And this woman, Maria Orsic, her mother was a Russian ballerina, and she had psychic abilities. I guess the mother had psychic abilities as well. And so these women got together, and they all have psychic abilities. They all got together. They all grew their hair long, very long, and they began communicating, having seances and I don't know what you would call it, like readings and seances and things.
Yeah, they're mediums.
Yeah, they're trying to reach out to these extraterrestrials, I guess is what they thought they were talking to. So was the point. They were reaching out to what they perceived to be extraterrestrials or advanced civilizations that had advanced knowledge. And the truth of the matter is, and you can look, I think that's a picture of it, of some of it right there, the Vril, they actually helped the Nazis build their first spacecraft. All that information came from these psychics and these mediums that believed they were talking to an advanced civilization. And I don't think this is so far out, because if anybody's seen any of my videos with 107 talking about DNA, and the ability to communicate through DNA. It explains a lot of the psychic episodes where people with the same DNA, or maybe there's a crossover of DNA or some kind of, with these psychics that they somehow can read other people's DNA, or there's a crossover there. A lot of these psychics have to hold a object that belonged to the victim or the person that they're trying to communicate with, and there's hair and DNA in hairbrushes and stuff. So these women, they all apparently had psychic ability that appeased the leaders of Germany during World War II enough to where they invested tons of money in expeditions to Antarctica, and they found what they were looking for.
Right.
That's the thing. They found it, and they back engineered this spacecraft. And when they went down for Operation High Jump,
okay,
that was Admiral Byrd.
Yes.
These things came out of the water, and they were agitating the water like a big washing machine, and the boats were careening, and then some orbs and things flew above and shot them with beams and stuff and destroyed ships. So they obviously, this technology, it was successful. So it's the strangest
So
thing.
where did they get this technology, right? A lot of people say ETs actually had communications with the Germans. Can't say that key word, but you know where I'm going with that. And in all honesty, we have a Vril society. We have these Vril women with the long hair who were considered mediums, and we also have what? Vril lizards. And yes, it does tie into reptilians. It does tie into these things. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how the story continues to get deeper and deeper. Now we will go into these Vril lizard people that, my friends, this is no coincidence, let me tell you.
The Vril lizards, I wanted to say that I believe there is a connection, and they don't just call them Vril lizards for no reason, because there is this Vril energy. And it's compared, the Vril energy itself is compared to an ether stream. And there you can see down there these little skeletons that they find down there on the right-hand side, a couple over from the guy in the red hat. I think that's an actual skeleton of one of them. But these little Vril lizards, there it is, right there. They have this proboscis that comes out.
Yes.
And you see it right there. And the proboscis holds exactly what it seems like this ether stream is. You know, it seems like it's the same thing, because Helena Blavatsky, who was a medium, and she was a Crowleyist, and she was part of that whole crowd, Helen Blavatsky. She used to talk about an ether stream, and that was how she talked to, quote, the dead. And this lizard has the ability to, the essence of the lizard has the ability to travel through and enter another being, you know, much like what they're talking about, this whole process of them getting this knowledge in this ether stream. I really think it's connected somehow. I don't think they call them Vril lizards for no reason. I think it's connected to this particular kind of energy that allows this lizard to travel into another being or a body, and exist, or it's a parasite.
Correct. So what I've learned, what I've researched, it could be reaching, but I've heard that there's like these lizards or worms that these people that they put like in the side of your eye. Have you heard about this? And it's supposed to be like this entity that actually turns you from to being a human, to actually them taking over what your human, I guess your human thought process. Then you become this like evil reptilian. This is what you become, and they insert this thing through the side of your eye, behind the eye. And it seems, and I don't know if I can find these pictures, but there was a guy that they were taking pictures of. I think I do have the pictures actually. Of there are these black marks that are on all these people's eyes. James Swalwell, is it that a guy? Do we know if that's like a politician or somebody?
Oh, it is a politician, James.
Yes,
Swalwell.
he has these.
Later.
Yes, he has these things, and everyone in the picture around him, there's like 6 people. They have these black dots in their eyes, and they don't look like normal people. The way that they're looking, they look very ominous.
Well, Donald Marshall talks about this, and he is one of the MK Ultra victims that came out and started talking about these cloning centers, and about Hollywood and cloning centers, and how they have these things all over the place, and all of Hollywood is cloned, that they're not going to invest all this money propping up these stars, and they don't make copies of them. You know, they're money machines, basically. And
right.
So they're going to make copies of these things, and if anything happens, and also they want to control them. These people have the potential to gain a lot of power. And so they use these things, these Vril lizards, and they play with them. The elite like to keep them as pets. They're supposed to be ancient, and the Tibetans protected them supposedly for hundreds and thousands of years, because if they didn't protect them, then people will kill them because they're nasty. And there's even the idea that this was a gene spliced or created thing.
Like a hybrid?
Yeah, hybrid or yeah. And so they what they do is with that inside that proboscis that you saw on that thing.
Insect, yes.
Yeah. Actually, it's a worm, okay? It lives inside the lizard and it goes up it lives in the spine. So when the proboscis goes out and that shoots the worm, okay, into the person's eye. Now this worm is...
Are we talking about the same thing?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay.
They don't do it. What they do is they restrain the person on a table and let the lizard do it. And what happens is, and they train these lizards. These lizards are supposed to be as smart as about apes, like monkeys. And so what they do is they hold the person down, expose their eye. The lizard shoots in with the worm goes into the eye, and it tastes its way. That's how it gets into the spine. It tastes its way through, and it's killing the person as it's doing this. It kills the person. The person is dead. They don't die all at once, but as the lizard, the parasite takes over through the spinal column, the person disappears and they're bedridden. Like the actual act of going in the eye, that puts them in the bed. And they're out of consciousness for, I don't know, I think they say the people who are victims who swear that these things exist, they swear. They say that these lizard things, the people who have been infected with these lizard things are out of commission. It's like they're in a coma for 3 months and they slowly start to wake up again, right? But when they do, it's the lizard in there. The person is dead.
That makes so much sense to me. I don't know why. I feel like I can't believe we got to the same point. I thought that's what you were talking about. And then you're like, well, yeah, that is what I'm talking about.
And bear in mind, these MK Ultra people know all about it. Like they know that, all right, before they perform this procedure, they have to train these lizards. So they literally train these lizards. They have machines and things that they can give these lizards to play with so that they get ready to go into the body. And then when they go into the body and the physical body is bedridden, it's out of commission for 3 months, that the person wakes up, but it's not the person anymore. It's the lizard. The lizard has a handler already.
Correct.
So the handler is going to be there when the lizard wakes up in the body. And then they train the lizard in the body. And then they send it up. Like these MK Ultra people are saying that Bono is one of these things.
Well, I actually found the picture. I'm going to post it on here real quick. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about with these people with the eyes. Let me share it over here with Linda real quick.
It's an Illuminati thing.
It's very strange. So if you want to see, check that out. So you can see his eye right here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if I can bring this up. I don't know if it's going to let me. There we go. Dock to top. All right. Well, anyways, you can see his eye right here. It does not look normal. Maybe I can do it this way. No. It's very weird. We could see here and then also there.
Yeah.
There's another picture. We could zoom in on her eye right there. They both have the same damn thing in their face. I don't know what this is, but it sounds exactly like what we are talking about. Here we go. It'll let me zoom. There you go. Look at his eye.
Yeah.
See, look at that.
And
that's not Photoshop, guys. That's a selfie. Eric Swalwell. He says here, while you're tweeting at us, Mr. President, we're working to uphold the Constitution. Of course he's a bad guy, and of course he has his stuff in his eye. What happened? That does not look like a blood vessel that busted. Those are red. That's black.
But there is a picture of Salvador Dali holding the Vril lizard up, and it's an old picture. It's like the carcass of the thing, that right there. But Salvador Dali is holding it up like this, and behind him is a guy strapped to a a bed with bandages all over his face and just one eye opened up.
Wow.
So, well, if it's not true, what does that mean? Why would you even do that? If it's not true.
Why are you have a man on a bed, you have a thing in your hand and you're putting it into his eye? I believe there's actually an X-Files that covers this, and Chris Carter, who is the creator of X-Files, I believe had very close CA intelligence, and also he has what Hollywood does. I mean, X-Files is one of the biggest shows of all time on a major network, Fox, and they're talking about all these things like ETs. They're talking about Project Paperclip, blatantly out there in the obvious.
And Lionsgate. I interviewed Norman. This is crazy what's happening here that you just said that. The X-Files. Okay, so I interviewed this guy, Norman Traversy, right? Mm-hmm. And we were talking about the pig farm up in Canada, the Canada pig farm. And that was a CIA op. That's where they did, not films,
okay.
That kind of thing. And I don't know if I muffled that enough. But anyway, it was like the hotel in,
with Schiff's Hotel.
Right.
Yes.
And so what happened was they called it Piggy's something. And it was like a big festival and they'd have parties there, but there was a section of it in the back.
Typical.
Yeah, typical. So the reason I'm saying this is because what ended up happening there is, I'm trying to think of the guy's name.
He's from Lionsgate Films.
Yeah, he owns Lionsgate Films, and he's a big Clinton person. Mm-hmm. And Lionsgate Films is what produced the X-Files. That was one of
movies?
Their things. Yeah, and it used to be called, I think it was called Greek Life, but it was a film company that was started at the pig farm out there in Canada. And they started out making those films.
Why, yeah.
Like Hunter Thompson type films.
Yeah, you know what she's saying, the snuff films. So, yeah.
Rhymes
wow,
with,
so they started demonic on a pig farm. Hey, what takes place at a pig farm? Well, slaughterhouses. What are the most demonic things on this planet? Slaughterhouses. They're supposedly the most haunted facilities on Earth. When you have like a slaughterhouse and it's like next door to a house, the house is usually extremely paranormal. There's a lot of activity there because of you're murdering and slaughtering animals, innocent God's creatures, very close to the grounds of a home, and usually that makes the home extremely active.
Yeah, and let's get even more freaky here.
Let's go. That's what this show's all about.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So James Alefantis and all these elites put pictures of pigs.
Yes.
And they have these pig farms. They're obsessed with pigs, especially the pig's eye. One pig's eye. They like to do that. And I'm like, what's with the pigs? I could not figure that out because, everything they do is like a double.
Well, I know why. It's because when Jesus cast out the demons, he put them in the swine.
No? That's not the reason, I don't think.
Okay.
I've heard from a lot of people, and I don't, there's no way to verify.
Because they're eating it? The pigs eat the bodies?
No, I've heard that the pig is the first successful clone between a hybrid between a human being and a boar.
Oh my God.
That's what I heard. And I've read that several different places. I haven't just read that one place. I've heard that a lot. And that explains why they would be having these pictures of the pig. Now, the other thing is they use pig farms to get rid of bodies and stuff.
Sure. You're right. I knew that. That's a known fact within the mafia.
But I did hear that the pig was a hybrid, and it does have some human DNA. It's a cross between the boar and that's their private joke. They did that. they scientifically have done that, but we don't know anything about it. All we know about is Molly the lamb or whatever it was, Molly the sheep or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
Dolly,
That's
it's Dolly the sheep.
Dolly the sheep. Yeah, that's yeah.
Oh, it's Molly the sheep.
Is it Molly? I don't know. I'm tripping out right now.
I remember that sheep's name.
Yeah. I just was on Facebook earlier today, and I saw that they but they bred a sheep and a pig, and it was the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life. I've also seen a dog with a goat. Most disturbing thing I've ever seen. That was done in Saudi Arabia. Terrifying. It was a goat, a giant goat with like this mutilated face, and it was barking. And it was massive. It would look like the size of a llama. It was huge, and it was a goat, but it was barking like a dog. And I was just, I'm not going to show that on the show, but it was absolutely disturbing. You can look it up on YouTube. Very disturbing.
And a lot of people might think we're straying, but we're not.
No, we're investigative journalists.
Because we're going to bring it back around because there is a connection. But the thing I wanted to say was, oh God, I lost my train of thought. I hate it when
with Lionsgate.
No, we were talking about
pigs.
The pig.
Elephantis, worshiping the pigs, likes the pigs.
I lost
Vrils.
But what I was going to connect the whole thing is because the Germans were doing the experiments with twinning and all kinds of other things. They were super interested in this eugenics and these crossbreedings and making twins. They
That's what they did. The concentration camps.
There actually is a cult of the twins. You know, there is and Mengele, who later came to America and was part of the MK. All these MK Ultra victims came out during the 80s and said that they had been tortured by Joseph Mengele, and nobody believed him because Mengele was supposed to be dead or somewhere else. I don't even know. Nobody believed that Joseph Mengele was down in these torture chambers torturing these kids when they were finally coming out during the 80s. And of course, later on, we found out about Operation Paperclip.
Right.
So now we know, yeah, he was here. He was doing that.
And then they created NASA.
All those people were telling the truth. And I have heard so many things about that they actually have a whole floor in those underground domes for these genetic experiments. And it's like the what do they call it? The island of Dr. Moreau.
Sure.
It's like a Lovecraft novel. And
well, yeah. I mean, I know AJ, Mr. Jones from InfoWars. He talked about, I'm sure he's gotten white paper documents and videos and stuff showing people, human beings in containers with gills and they're breathing underwater and stuff. People make fun of that. I don't. He's funny, but the topic of the situation is not funny because I find it to be very real. I mean, there are movies about this. You can think of the Human Centipede. If you don't know what that is, please don't watch that movie. But it is absolutely disturbing. Those scientists in that movie were German, So, the Hollywood portrays this stuff like it's fiction, it's horror. Yeah, it's horror because it's real life. These things are really taking place.
And they're so far ahead of us now, like 500 years ahead of us.
Yes.
Scientifically. We learn about Molly the sheep or whatever her name is. And, they're already cloning Hollywood down there. They're just laughing at us. I remember what I wanted to make the point.
Yes.
Was the Podesta artwork shows hybrids. And a lot of that artwork shows, what do they call them? Chimeras?
Chimeras. Yeah, let's go ahead and check out those hybrid paintings from the Podestas.
And this kind of Sunday, I just want to mention, I'm doing an interview with Candace Estev and Dr. Judy about chimeras. This doctor knows all about it. She knows how they do it. It's real. Yeah.
All right. So we can see here, this is what Linda's talking about when you have hybrids. There's actually more pictures that I'm going to show you with this. I'm just going to have to scroll and look. But very much, you see this is Podesta art. These are actually created. I will go back and check out more.
But I believe they really do that to those kids.
100%, they're fracturing them.
That's part of how they scare those kids. And also they call that stuff smocking. When they dress up in those big stuffed animal scary stuffed animals, and they're scaring kids, swinging them around in cages.
All right, here we go. Check this out.
Yeah.
So this is the hybrid stuff she's talking about.
Yeah.
There's more of this out there. Just let me continue to look.
These victims are creating these sculptures and things from memories from the underground dumbs. And I think they use these things to scare kids with. And it's just the sickest thing.
Here we go. There we go. Perfect example. This is real. This is Podesta art. You think we're dealing with people? You think that these YouTube channels out there are dealing with a joking matter? You think that we're just out here making up stuff and just talking about 17 and whatnot? No, we are up against, this planet is up against demonic people. These people hate us. They hate you. They hate God. This is what they want to do. They want to create stuff like this, which I don't know what the hell this is. It looks like a human being mixed with it's got feet. It's got human feet and hands.
It's not an accident that these satanic ritual abuse victims from underground military bases, and when you're talking about German cults and things, those are the very people that are down there right now doing this. This is a complete abomination, and all of these MK Ultra victims are not coming up here. Even some of the satanic ritual abuse victims that have been down there, who are just off creating this artwork, and they're coming up with all these creepy, very, very detailed creatures. It's almost as if they've played with them or something as kids, and they're doing it from memory. It's hideous, because to know that it's possible and that they're probably doing it because they like you say, they want to destroy everything that comes from God.
Correct. This is their main type of focus. And there's no coincidence that this comes up when you type in Podesta art. This is what comes up. There's plenty of this. Yeah. We're still go ahead.
So these cults, most of these cults, because when we brought these people over, I think they said it was like 10,000. I think it was a lot more. Mm-hmm. But they were scientists, elite Illuminati German scientists. But this is the kind of thing they were doing. There was a reason they had to go underground into these underground facilities and form the CIA. And I've really thought that that they were doing it the whole time, and I've had that verified, that before the war they were already, the Illuminati, they're a club. There's a lot of Germans here already that were communicating with the Third Reich. Yeah. And so I believe they just they had so many of them over here already that they created the CIA. They had to create the CIA as a cover for it. And I've had that. People have verified that to me, that I am right on that. And when you think about these underground bases and stuff, they've had those. The Nazi had underground bases. They went almost entirely underground towards the end of the war. And I think the reason is that they were, just this whole underground system.
Well, it makes sense, because I'm looking at another picture. You can see what I'm seeing right now. Who knows why this was created? This is a doll, but it was probably created after some victim, and then they had this thing that does not exist in the eyes of man. I don't know what this is. This is another creation. This is probably another experiment. These are, I don't know. And then you have a peacock overlooking what's taking place. I don't know what that means. It's very symbolic. I'm sure it's very occultish, but they are creating these things. And our whole focus today, I know we've kind of gone on this tangent. It's not really a tangent because we've been discussing the German Reich, talking about experimentations and such. So I want to show you experimentations that they actually did on Jewish people. And
we're still discussing the exact same people, only they're here now. And
correct.
This is what we're dealing with. I mean,
correct.
This is the new world order right here. And it was all started with this cult activity. They still are involved in this cult activity.
Yes.
So, and as a matter of fact, they are the Saturn, the cult of Saturn. It's the cult of the Black Sun. That's what they call Saturn, the Black Sun. So this Saturn cult is what we're dealing with today. Most of these people are part of this Saturn cult. And it's a whole Saturn worship thing, which is a very interesting topic on its own. But most of these people.
There you go.
Yeah, this is huge. They are eugenicists. This is a huge part of their cult activity. And,
like that?
Yeah.
You think this is all a joke? Not a joke at all.
And I mean, come on. I mean, this is disgusting. It's horrific. And, I think when we get down into these underground bases, this is kind of what we're going to find.
Yes.
There's Mengele right there. That's another thing.
Right here?
Yeah, Joseph Mengele. Now,
he looks like a nice fella.
They're all involved in this Saturn cult and the Vril society. And I think this guy is just a monster.
Of course, he was obsessed with eyes. Very weird.
Yeah. But here
we go. Check this out. I'll tell you this. They were driven right here. They were driven to his laboratory in either his own car or truck. They were subjected, why twins? I don't know. They were subjected to appalling experiments, surgery without anesthetics, blood transfusions from one twin to the other, injected lethal germs into the twins, and sex change operations. Oh, that sounds very familiar with 2019 and 2018. Everyone's getting sex change operations. He also injected chemicals into the children's eyes and attempted to change their eye color, collected eyes of his murder victims, took 2 trucks to carry all of his, in quote, findings, sent findings to his mentor, Dr. Versucher. We're seeing the same psychopathic, sadist actions that we're seeing here today with Podesta art. It's disgusting.
I wanted to bring up the point. Cloning centers, twinning.
Yeah.
That's why they were looking into twinning, because they wanted to clone.
Yes.
I think that's what they were trying to do the whole time. They were looking into twinning and cloning. And I think that's also why this whole lizard thing, they were so fascinated with this parasitic lizard, because the lizard does exactly what they want to do.
Right.
And talking about Mengele, every single person that he tortured, some of them loved him. So I don't know what that's like a Stockholm syndrome.
That's exactly what that is.
But every single one of his victims said that he later presented himself under different names, Dr. Green, for a while, but he never aged. He was always looked like he was in his mid 50s or something, and he never aged. He always had a young body. So the fact that this guy is experimenting with eugenics and cloning and twinning, I think
always with young children.
Yeah, and
sounds like adrenochrome, right? Wink, wink.
Yeah, they that's what that Wilhelmsburg castle was about, and that was Himmler's castle.
Yes.
And supposedly now we know Rosenstein is related to Himmler. He looks just like Himmler.
Yes.
I mean, they could
they're all part of this occultish bloodline, the same family, this billionaire's family that just kind of keeps royalty, if you want to call it. I don't call it royalty because they're beneath my feet. But this is what they are, and they have been doing this for centuries, hundreds, thousands of years. They've been doing this, to prolong their bloodline. And you can just think of what happened to Princess Diana. She finds something out. She's going to be part of this bloodline, she's a host for these kids, pretty much is what it is. And hey, you think you're going to snitch? We're going to drive your limo into the side of a tunnel, and you're donezo. Like, this is what they do. You abide by what they want, or you're out.
Yeah, and this whole conversation.
Yes.
First of all, we're dealing with cults. We're dealing with cults that are obsessed with eugenics and cloning. And this goes to my contention that they're not human, because it's a cult that revolves around cutting up humans, playing with humans, experimenting with humans, making things out of humans, making creatures out of humans. Why would they do this? I mean, it seems like they're studying us or playing with us as human beings.
Yes, they're 100%. They're defiling us.
Yeah. And so I don't think they consider themselves humans.
Well, they either don't consider themselves humans, or they consider their bloodline much more prevalent than us. They're allowed to do this, and we're plebs, we're slaves. We're garbage. This is what they do. Hey, let's cut this up. Let's see what we can make out of this freak show. They're poor. They don't mean anything to me. They're garbage. They're roaches. So I mean, I believe this is their mentality. I think their mentality is they're sociopaths, they're psychopaths. They're narcissists, and they love to do experiments on us, God's children. I really believe that that's what they do. They get off on it.
And look at what they're doing, Thomas. They're taking even the brain and breaking it, honeycombing it.
Yes.
Into different personalities that they can control. I mean, this
fracturing
really reaches a level where it almost would have to have been going on for centuries or decades or whatever. But Germans and the Third Reich, they really had a jump on us as far as technology and stuff like that is going.
Correct.
They were twinning, and I do believe that was cloning. They were getting the information that gave them the ability to clone. And I also think that's why they're so interested in this Vril lizard thing.
Right.
That it does exactly what they want to do. In other words, Mengele never aged. And he kept popping up places as Dr. Green. He used the name Green all the time. And I've discussed this before, but the Green Man is Satan, Lucifer. Lucifer is the Green Man. And he writes in green ink, and that's the new Green Deal. All of this stuff that they use green for is a reference to Lucifer and Satan.
Green is also Jewish.
Oh, it is?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, so Mengele called himself Dr. Green or Mr. Green or whatever. He used that. And he never aged. So this whole idea of this lizard being able to slip its consciousness into a new body.
Let's just say that this insect or whatever is, I think it is alien.
It could be. It could be. It could be an extraterrestrial thing. It could be a hybrid thing. It could be a little dragon that's like normal. It could be a little demonic, it could be something from another dimension or something.
Like a nanobot. Like people talk about that sometimes they get injected with nanobots it actually controls the mind. It actually can manipulate disease and stuff within our bloodstream and in our organs. Very weird stuff. And again, I mean, I was just watching NFL football last week. I posted on Twitter, and then they're talking about eugenics, reverse aging. And of course, they're showing it during a Patriots game. Tom Brady, who looks like he's 36 years old, never aged a day in his life. And they're saying, and then I hear, I can't think of the announcer's name, and he goes, I guarantee they're talking about a specific place. And they said, hey, I bet Tom Brady's been there. And I was like, this is blatantly, like, there might be 25,000 people that are like, whoa, that really resonates with me. Like, these elite, these celebrities, these athletes, these politicians, so on and so forth, they're using age-reversing drugs to stay alive, to beat what God has planned for them. And and I believe that that's an afterlife. They don't want to go to this afterlife. They want to live on like gods.
And Netflix, I think, has a series called Blood Boy. Is that Netflix?
I don't know. Blood Boy. I don't know.
It's about an elite, I think, gay Hollywood couple that has a young kid that they use him for his blood. He's their blood boy. If that's not young, blatantly
obvious, like smearing in our face, mocking us, I don't know what is.
And something else, I think the Rolling Stones or maybe Keith Richards or something had all of his blood replaced at one time.
Yes, that is true.
And now I go back and I think about that and I wonder about that. Of course, he looks like hell.
He's done. Yeah, Keith Richards has done literally every drug on this planet.
Corpse, but it didn't
Absolutely
help.
True. I want to start because we're about to hit an hour. So I want to go back into this Vril real quick. I want to this Vril society with the long hair one more time because it's very fascinating to me. It really reminds me of like Salem. It reminds me of witchcraft. This is what it reminds me of. So let's go ahead and hop right back into that to end the podcast. Okay, so getting back into the Vril society we see here, I'm just going to read a little excerpt from it. It says here that the Vril society believed in an energy source, henceforth unknown to science, unknown, guys, that they termed, in quote, Vril energy. Vril energy was a fundamental, limitless cosmic life force energy, a power source that functioned harmoniously with the natural world, part magnetism and part gravity and part unknown. This sounds just like a zero energy propelled ship, craft rather. The Vril Society believed if Vril energy could be transformed into a viable technological reality, that would henceforth become a craft for World War II for the Germans to have self-propelled energy. And then this is what I was talking about right here. The Vril Society claimed that they could channel communications to alien races in other far-away solar systems, reportedly initiated by cutting an apple in half and concentrating on the core of the apple. The Vril Society claimed that they could communicate with an alien race called Vril-Ya, or Vrilnians, to further differentiate themselves from the general public. This is crazy because they're saying that these lizard people, this Vril lizard, these people, they look exactly the same as humans. So the reason that they can differentiate themselves from the general public is by going into and communicating with them. The Vril Society broke from the traditional short-haired styles worn by women of the day and instead grew their hair extremely long and into twisted ponytails. The Vrilians believed their twisted hair acted as antennas to facilitate and contact with extraterrestrials. They also donned unique disc-shaped medallions on their necklaces they wore around their necks. Last sentence. The Vril Society sought to form a new world order, a utopian world driven and led by alternative science, and they believed an alien race could help them achieve their objective.
Yeah.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah. And you could say it's a deception, and
Sure.
that would be my initial reaction, except they built a spaceship from these ladies. These ladies, whatever the information they got,
They're downloading it.
yeah, that's how they built that thing.
Right.
It's crazy. It's a glimpse into the occult world that we live in, and the fact that these are the people who have been running things the whole time.
They've been running it the entire, an occult billionaire bloodline family that I believe out of 45 presidents, 44 are part of this bloodline, including our president. Doesn't mean, I'm not saying President Trump's evil. I'm saying President Trump is part of this bloodline, and I believe that he has broken from this. He saw the light, stayed on the light. This family broke away far beyond our president right now. But that family broke away from this family. You have the good side of the family, you have the evil side of the family. I believe that he broke off in a light-loving, godly, light-being way. I really believe that. And he's leading us into, and you guys don't like this word, but I think he's leading us into a golden age or ascension.
Well, we're about to experience the Great Awakening on an epic level. And as awake as we try to be, I think we're about to get hit in the gut with a lot of things,
I 100% agree.
Connections that we're making here, talking about how this suddenly it's connecting to Rod Rosenstein and the underground bases and all this stuff that happened all this time ago is suddenly rearing its ugly head again, because what are we dealing with? Cults. What are we dealing with specifically? The cult of Saturn. And most of the German Third Reich was part of the cult of Saturn. But I do think this Vril cult, Vrilia and Vril cult is extremely interesting. And
I do too.
Opens up the door to a lot of, creative thinking.
I found this exciting, Linda. I hope all you guys did too. Again, Linda hits a grand slam out of the park with another incredible topic of the day. Next week, we're going to be discussing the movie Haxan. If you don't know what that is, please go watch it on YouTube. It has a lot to do with how witches actually infiltrated the Catholic Church. I told Linda to go check that out, so she'll watch it. I've watched it 3 times. Very interesting. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's Beyond the Headlines. Again, my friends, please subscribe to both our channels, True Reporting and McAllister TV. You can follow me and Linda on Twitter, me at True Reporting, her at Linda_Paris, both on Twitter. Go to our Patreon, support us, my friends, because censorship is buckling down. It's very scary out there, guys. Any last words, Linda? And we'll go ahead and end today's show.
Well, I just want to thank you again, Thomas, for hosting this show, because it's so much fun. I really enjoy it. And I think it's good practice for us to be talking about these things and giving people room to have their own opinions. And if we can master that, perhaps we can be the ones who lead the charge in opening up a dialogue about some of this stuff. So
I agree.
I want to thank you for hosting it, because I feel a lot better. I feel if somebody takes my channel down that, I'll be here on Friday nights.
Well, I pray that doesn't happen. I really think if we're careful with keywords and we all stick together, I think that there's no way they can defeat us. Yeah. And I think that we're doing God's work. I really believe that. That's not arrogance. That's just the way that I feel. That's just the way I feel. And there's no denying it at this point.
Well, let's put it this way. I don't know about you, but I'm trying to do God's work.
Yeah, no, I try every day to do the best I can, bringing forth the truth. And, this is a lot of fun. We're going to continue to do it every Friday. And I hope everyone out there enjoyed it. So, again, my friends, this is Beyond the Headlines. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next Friday, guys. Take care, my friends. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.